The FIA has now confirmed that Lewis Hamilton will receive a penalty for the Brazil incident, and tensions inside Ferrari are reaching critical mass. After a race-ending collision, front wing damage, and radio frustration, Hamilton is left asking what more he could have done. Ferrari walked away from Interlagos with 0 points. Leclerc out. Hamilton penalized. Their constructors' hopes are collapsing at the worst possible time. With Mercedes and Red Bull pulling away in the standings, is Ferrari about to lose second place, and has Lewis Hamilton reached his breaking point? The FIA has made it official. Lewis Hamilton's collision with Franco Colapinto during the Brazilian Grand Prix will be penalized a 5-second time sanction that comes after the race had already ended for the 7-time world champion. And while the penalty may look minor on paper, the consequences for Hamilton, for Ferrari, and for the team's championship ambitions could not be more severe. This isn't just a call, it's a turning point. Hamilton's race was already hanging by a thread when the contact occurred. Starting from 13th on the grid, he had just survived a first-lap hit from Carlos Sainz that damaged the car's floor. Still, Hamilton pushed on, setting competitive sectors and climbing positions. But into the final corner, as he tried to overtake Colapinto around the outside, the gap disappeared. Light contact. A shattered front wing. A destabilized Ferrari. And then, minutes later, the penalty. A decision that stunned fans and further fractured Ferrari's already fragile race day. What followed was a slow and painful unraveling. The front wing damage destroyed the balance of Hamilton's SF25, forcing him to pit, drop to the back, and wrestle with a car that had become undrivable. Over the radio, Hamilton's frustration was clear. "I'm going to crash here," he warned. "The car is completely unstable." His words weren't just emotional, they were a signal. Something had broken, not just in the car, but in the confidence between the driver, the team, and the system meant to regulate the sport fairly. Ferrari had no choice but to retire the car. By lap 40, Hamilton was lapping up to 4 seconds slower than the leaders, with no points in sight and severe floor damage from both early race incidents. For a team fighting to secure second in the Constructors' Championship, it was catastrophic. Both drivers out. 0 points. And worse, a penalty that the team believes never should have been issued in the first place. The FIA has confirmed it now, but questions remain. Was it fair? Was it rushed? And what happens next? Because while the headlines focus on a 5-second penalty, the real impact is strategic. With just 2 races to go, Ferrari now trails Mercedes by 34 points and Red Bull by 62. That second-place finish, once the minimum target for a team with Hamilton and Leclerc, is slipping away. And inside the Ferrari garage, the pressure is beginning to show. Strategy calls are tightening. Driver frustration is rising. And the margin for error has completely vanished. And at the center of it all stands Lewis Hamilton, still sharp, still motivated, still relentless. But for how long? As one of the sport's most intelligent and accomplished drivers, he knows when a team is moving forward and when it's stuck. The penalty in Brazil may have been just 5 seconds. But for Hamilton, it may have been one moment too many in a season where brilliance has constantly been undone by things beyond his control. From the start, Lewis Hamilton's race was a challenge. Lining up 13th on the grid, he was already fighting an uphill battle at a track where overtaking depends on rhythm, traction, and tire preservation. But Hamilton's opening laps showed his trademark calm under pressure. Even after being clipped by Carlos Sainz into turn 4, damaging the SF25's floor, Hamilton kept control, avoided overreacting, and adjusted his tools to maintain pace. He was still in the fight, still working with what he had. Then came lap 8, and with it, the incident that changed everything. As Hamilton attempted to overtake Franco Colapinto on the outside of the final corner, the 2 cars made contact. Hamilton had left space. The move wasn't reckless or desperate, it was measured. But Colapinto misjudged the closing speed and squeezed Hamilton tighter than expected. The front wing of the Ferrari struck the Alpine's rear wheel, snapping Hamilton's end plate and disrupting the entire aerodynamic profile of the car. It looked minor. But it was anything but. The SF25 is an aggressive machine, optimized for precise airflow and high-speed balance. Losing even part of the front wing on this car means an immediate collapse in front-end stability. The moment the wing broke, the Ferrari began to understeer, the tires started to overheat, and Hamilton's lap times began to suffer. He radioed the team. The car was unstable, difficult to rotate, and unpredictable under braking. From that point forward, he wasn't racing, he was surviving. That's when the FIA announced the penalty, 5 seconds for Hamilton, predominantly at fault for the collision. The reaction across the paddock was swift. On board showed Hamilton maintaining a clean line, with minimal steering adjustment. He wasn't forcing the move. He wasn't out of control. The penalty didn't reflect the complexity of the incident, and it certainly didn't match the scale of the consequences. The FIA would later confirm and stand by the call, but many questioned how such a quick ruling could be so definitive in a race-altering moment. Ferrari's response was immediate but ineffective. They brought Hamilton into the pits to change the front wing, hoping to salvage balance and tire life. But the damage to the floor, first from Sainz, then worsened by running offline post-contact, made recovery impossible. Hamilton emerged at the back of the field and began lapping over 3 seconds off the pace. His radio message said it all: "I'm going to crash here. The car is completely unstable." It wasn't drama. It was pure feedback from a driver who knows when the limit has been passed. On lap 40, Ferrari pulled the plug. Retirement. No points. No momentum. Just frustration. For Hamilton, it was the third time this season that a race ended not because of a mistake, but because the package around him fell apart. And while the 5-second penalty won't appear on the final classification, its weight, both competitive and psychological, will be felt deep into the final races of the year. The Ferrari SF25 has proven, throughout the 2025 season, to be a car of extremes. On its day, it delivers lap times within striking distance of Red Bull and Mercedes. But its Achilles heel is well known within the paddock: a fragile front aero platform, highly sensitive to even the smallest airflow disruption. That makes the front wing, especially the end plates, critical not just for downforce, but for overall aerodynamic balance. When Hamilton lost the right end plate in the incident with Colapinto, the airflow feeding the car's underfloor was instantly corrupted. That aerodynamic disruption caused a chain reaction. Without clean air flowing beneath the car, the ground effect system essential for grip and balance became unstable. That forced the rear tires to overcompensate, heating unevenly and degrading rapidly. The SF25's floor was already slightly damaged from the lap 1 contact with Sainz, and the added imbalance made the car unpredictable. Hamilton reported understeer mid-corner, rear instability on exit, and a lack of braking confidence, a nightmare for any driver, let alone one trying to climb from outside the top 10. Hamilton is known for his smooth steering inputs, precise corner entry, and exceptional tire management. But even his driving style couldn't compensate for the imbalance. Every adjustment from the cockpit, from brake bias changes to differential tweaks, was reactive. The tires wouldn't stay in the right temperature window. The fronts were sliding. The rears were overheating. And in Interlagos, a circuit that demands constant change of direction, that meant he was losing time in every sector, sometimes over 3 seconds per lap. Ferrari's engineers attempted to recover performance by switching Hamilton to a harder compound during the unscheduled pit stop. The theory was simple: more durability, less wear, longer stints. But without aerodynamic balance, it made no difference. The harder tires never reached optimum temperature, and the instability remained. The car wasn't just slower, it was erratic. And once the telemetry confirmed that Hamilton was driving on the edge of control, the decision to retire wasn't just logical. It was necessary. What made this so frustrating is that other top teams would likely have survived this scenario. Red Bull's RB21, with its flexible front aero and more forgiving floor concept, has shown the ability to retain performance with light damage. Mercedes W15, refined after early season instability, has a more balanced load distribution and doesn't collapse under minor impacts. Ferrari's SF25, by contrast, demands perfection and punishes any deviation. In Hamilton's case, it punished him for a situation that wasn't even his fault. So when fans ask why Hamilton couldn't recover, or why Ferrari didn't fight back, the answer lies in the car's DNA. It's fast, but fragile. And when things go wrong, like in Brazil, there's no margin for recovery. That's not on the driver. That's on the design. The result at Interlagos wasn't just a disappointing afternoon for Ferrari, it was a critical blow to their campaign. With Lewis Hamilton retiring on lap 40 and Charles Leclerc eliminated early due to another incident, the team left Brazil with 0 points. That result alone would be damaging. But in the context of a tight Constructors' Championship fight, it's a disaster. Meanwhile, both Mercedes and Red Bull left São Paulo with strong hauls, taking full advantage of Ferrari's collapse. After Brazil, the standings shifted dramatically. Red Bull, thanks to Verstappen's podium, extended their lead. Mercedes, with Russell finishing strong and collecting solid points, pulled ahead into second place. Ferrari now finds itself fourth in the standings, trailing Mercedes by 34 points and Red Bull by 62. With only 2 races left in the season, recovering that gap would require not just perfect execution, but major mistakes from both rivals. And based on the current momentum, that scenario looks increasingly unlikely. But the real problem for Ferrari isn't just mathematical, it's structural. Brazil exposed deep cracks in the team's ability to respond under pressure. From strategy calls to damage recovery, Ferrari looked reactive, not proactive. Compare that to Mercedes, whose setups remain robust across stints, and Red Bull, who continue to extract maximum points even when their car isn't dominant. Ferrari has speed, but they lack execution. And that's costing them millions in championship placement and reputation. Inside the team, the pressure is mounting. After promising Hamilton a project that would put him back in contention, they've instead given him a car that fails under pressure and a strategy group that often leaves him exposed. The frustrations are becoming more visible. Leclerc's body language post-DNF said it all. Hamilton's radio message is calm, but cutting suggests a driver who knows he's delivering his part, only to see the structure around him unravel. This isn't about morale. It's about trust.